Today I want to show you how super easy it is to update these old-fashioned recessed lights with the newer style flush mount. And I'm going to show you what I think is the best product on the market. Let's get right into a quick little unboxing here. Specifications on the back. This is Lumary 6-inch flush mount light. Here's all the cool features they have: app dimming, voice control, music sync. There's just a lot of cool stuff here. So I'm gonna just do a quick unbox, but at the end of the video, I'm gonna show you exactly how these lights function, all of the cool features. So make sure you stick around for that. I'll show you how the app works and just how unique and cool these lights are. The packaging looks very cool, very standard. They were packaged well. These have this cool light ring around the edge here that I have not seen in other flush mount lights. And I'm going to show you that later on in the app. Just very cool, the different things that you can do with these lights, the colors around that ring and all. So this little electric box where you're going to end up making the connections for your electrical. Those are pretty similar to what I've seen in other flush mount lights, so not a whole lot to see there. We'll show you more of that later in the install. So each box here has 2 lights, and then I did 5 lights up in my attic. So I bought a pack of 4 and then an additional single pack. So this here is the second box in the 4-pack. So you'll see the remote in here, which is, again, very cool. This is one of the big reasons I went with these lights. Is up in my attic here, I have a switch down at the bottom of the steps, and I really wanted to get control of these lights up top without too much work. So getting some lights with a remote was kind of the way to go there. So getting into the install here, I have these old retrofit lights, and you see this ring that's currently around here, this plastic ring. I'm going to take my knife around there, and this is very important that you make a nice cut here. That is, if your lights are anything similar to what mine are. I'm going to just cut away that paint, a little bit of caulk potentially. I think it's mostly just paint. They paint it up against there, and make sure you get that nice and clean cut in there, because in just a bit we're going to remove that ring. This little plastic piece that's up in there is on some springs. We're going to pull that down out of there and release the springs in there. You'll see springs up in there. You just unhook those from like the metal can that's up in there, and they'll just pop right down out of there. Now with that plastic piece out of there, this is where we're going to take the ring off that I just scored with my knife. And the reason I cut that is you don't want to peel back a bunch of paint when you do this. The first ring that I didn't cut cleanly, and so I peeled a little bit of paint back. So save this ring. This is very important. We're going to come back to this ring. At least it's important in my case. It may vary just a bit from one set of lights to another. After we've got that ring and all that plastic stuff out of there, there's 3 little sheet metal screws up in here that you're going to want to remove, and that's going to release that can up in there. So now we're just going to pull that right down out of there. I mean, this is a really simple process, to be honest. After you have the light pulled down out, you're going to have access to the electrical box up in there. There's a little tab, pull off the lid, and now you can see all your connections in there. The first thing that I want to do is cut the wires that go to this metal can, and then release that tab on the conduit that goes into the box. There's a little tab in there that you're going to press the tab in and release that conduit and pull it out. Now you have your main part of the old can out of there. Like, you're really going to let the most of the rest of this in there. Now we're going to loosen this cable clamp that's holding the wires in there, because we want to get out of this old box. We're going to go into that new electrical box that I showed you earlier. So we just have to release those and get those out so that we can make the connections in the new box. And to do that, we really need to get rid of these push-in connectors because they won't pull out through the cable clamp. And I prefer just to cut these wires because they are really a pain to pull out of these clamps. The clamps just are, it's just not worth it. So I just take my wire cutters and just snip them off. Just find it to be easier. So after you have got all of those old clamps off of there, you can pull the wire right out of the clamps and now just pull them down so that they're accessible for you to work on with your new box. This is the box that we looked at earlier. This is where you're going to make your new connections for the light. And again, this is all a very simple process. We're only a few minutes into this and we're already almost done getting the new lights. There's these little knockouts in the new box you're going to take out and push in a new connector. I use these little plastic connectors. They just pop right into place. You can use the metal clamps or whatever you want to hold the wires, but you do need to put something in there to clamp the wires that you're running into your new box. At this point, we're just feeding these wires in through that new plastic connector that I put in there, which is easier with these little plastic connectors, in my opinion, than the metal ones. It's just a few extra steps with the metal ones. You got to tighten some screws and whatever. So this, like I said, we are already halfway done. These lights, you can rip out the old Retrofit and have these new ones in. After your first one, so I had 5 of them up here. After your first one, you're gonna have your next ones done in 5 to 10 minutes is my guess. So definitely worth the upgrade if you're tired of just that old Retrofit look. After you've got the wires run through that connector, this is where you're gonna, probably the only place you kind of need some specialty tools. If you have a wire stripper, absolutely you're gonna wanna use it here. There's obviously ways to get wire stripped without a wire stripper, but this might be like the only place that you need a bit of a specialty tool. Other than this, it's like screwdrivers. If you have a Phillips screwdriver, a knife, you're literally going to be able to do this. So you're going to make the new connections. Obviously, ground wires go to green, the bare copper to the green. I have 2 wires coming into my box. I'm twisting together a total of 3 wires. It'll be the 2 bare copper to the green, and then we've got a total of 3 blacks. It's the 2 wires coming into the box and then the one that feeds to the light, obviously. So you're going to make all those connections and just curl up these wires and stuff them into the new box. Sometimes you'll have 3 wires. I've had a situation where I had 3 wires coming into the box and they get really kind of full, but with 2 wires you just stuff them in there. This right here, remember the plastic ring, we're back to that, and this is where we're going to use this. These little plastic rings fit back onto these Retrofit lights perfectly. And the reason I'm putting this on there is because the cutout is just a little bit too big, and patching that drywall and trying to make the hole just a little smaller would have been a real pain. So you slip this this plastic ring back onto the new flush mount. Now you gain an extra, like at least 1/4 inch around the entire light. And I'm gone right back up there. I don't have to repaint. I don't have to do anything because we're back to the exact dimension of the previous light that was in there. So that's a really cool trick that I honestly just learned on this job.
Now we're just making the connection and popping the light up in there. It is that simple. These things just pop together, the wire coming out of the box, the wire to the light, and there's a little slip nut that just makes that connection. Push the metal box up into the ceiling. You're gonna snap this light into place with these little clips, and that is literally it. Here you can see this plastic ring I put back on there and why that is important in this case. Otherwise the cutout would have been too big. This is the fun part. We're gonna get into how these lights work and function. Again, this remote is just a big reason why I got these lights. We can turn them on and off up here. I don't have a switch up here, so this was very important to me. We've got the button in the center that just controls the color of the ring. Every time you press that, you'll cycle through all of the different colors on the ring around these lights. So just so many cool colors. If you have this in like a kid's room, it'll give you the option to have it like a cool little night light for them. And they'll like all the colors, of course. And you have this little sleep button you can press at any time, and it puts that turns the ring off, but puts it into a cool little yellow glow. You have dimmer, brighter, and then the more white or yellow light. There's adjustments to all of this stuff. This is all on the remote. Now, let me show you the app. This is the home screen on the app, and this is just where it really gets sophisticated and just a lot of cool stuff you can do on the app. So in the app, we can click on any individual light, and we can customize every single one of these lights to make them different ring colors around the light, and then different brightness on the light itself. So basically over here on the app, you can see me adjusting. There's a bar on the bottom of each of these. You can adjust how dim and bright both the ring is as you slide both. I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit of trouble with this, making sure this is synced up. The controls on the app here are probably not 100% lined up with what you're seeing on the lights, but you get the basic idea. You can go in here to each one of these lights and just all these customization, like all this customization, is that the right word? I don't know, customizing. All this customizing of the lights, just incredible. You can turn off the rings at any point or turn off the lights, and you can just, every one of these lights you can customize on its own. So you can light up your room into however many different colors that you want. If you have 5 lights, you can do 5 different ring colors. If you have kids, if this is in a kid's room, they're gonna just think it's so cool, all the different colors. So that's very cool. And again, there's some features here that I didn't even get into, like the voice control and things like that. I just honestly didn't have the time to walk through all of those little details, but this in the app is probably the biggest thing for me, and having the remote to turn them on and off was a big deal to me. Again, I'm not even covering everything, but just so many cool things with these lights. I will be putting a link to these lights in the description. Please check them out. I definitely think if you're going with flush mount lights, this is something to consider. And even like if you're not into all the colors, you can always go back to the standard and you'll sync them all together when you're tired of the colors with the remote. Just hit the remote and they all go back to the colors. They all line up. They're all in tune. So hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you consider these lights, I really think you're going to like them for your next project.